criminal. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Watch Party. Most of you missed it, but good news. We're going to recap what's gone on so far. I'm your buddy, Admiral Teague. Please hit the like and follow buttons if you're here live, which we hope a lot of people are. We'll see who shows up. You're going to get to see episode 9 of Yellowstone, 1883. And with me is my good buddy, Radioactive. Radioactive, what's going on, partner?
Oh, it's just another fine weekend.
It really is just another fine weekend here in the frozen cold of the Northeast, and all across America it's pretty cold. But you know what? In the Yellowstone world, it's not freezing cold yet. It's unusual because 1923, all winter stuff. Yellowstone Prime. When I've watched it, a lot of that show seems to take place in the winter. And I think they have longer winters there by like maybe a month on either end than the Northeast anywhere would have. It's just pretty darn cold there. So, like in 1883, we've discovered so far that this wagon train, and it's been confirmed by sources that are kind of official, like the official wiki, I think is still controlled by the show. Like they strike down any bad info. It would be like they wouldn't let them be defamed. So I don't think it's totally independent. Confirms that they never get on the Oregon Trail, something that you first stumbled on in episode 5 when we started wondering when the hell they were going to start moving north.
That is true. They did not get on the Oregon Trail. They went in a very circuitous route to get to where they wanted to go.
Now, we found out, and you guys will find this useful, that what goes on in the world and the universe of Taylor Sheridan's shows, especially the Yellowstone ones, because who knows what else is related. I don't know if he wants to cross over Stinky Lioness with this, even though he might be able to save that show. But with this series of shows, he's now co-creator of Yellowstone, which seems a relatively recent development as far as the way they like to tell people about it. The Madison will carry that story forward. But during the run of Yellowstone, and I've watched enough Yellowstone, which is to say not much, and still saw this, so it must be fairly common. Like, Kevin Costner's character will just kick back and be like, it was only 10 years after the Civil War that my great granddaddy left Kentucky to come here. And then like without like anybody thinking about it, like people would be like, they would do a flashback and it would be the wrong year. So I don't know that they like lined up like the throwaway lines about the Dutton family that Kevin Costner had, and then Yellowstone becomes what it is. So the best we can think of is they got nailed down by multiple statements in the show Yellowstone, which they want to keep complete. So I call that a case of the Attack of the Clones disorder. You know what I'm talking about here, Radioactive, where you have you may have gone a bit too far in a few places with your other movies, and now you're prequeling yourself, and you're sort of locked in.
Yeah, it does seem like he's kind of painted himself into a corner with respect to
geography, at least.
The geography and the timeline. But, I think the timeline could have been fixed. And we've talked about this before on your show about the fact that if maybe that is, Taylor Sheridan had decided, let's shift the show's time frame to like the 1850s or something.
They were definitely locked in by a flashback to 1893, where they said stuff about the first generation, and we saw a 10-year-old. So it was, you know what I mean? Like they couldn't go anywhere with it.
And that may be true, since I haven't seen the other shows. So
and by the way, the idea that she hasn't, the idea that this couple is going to have another baby.
Yeah. But yeah, if they had started the show off in the 1880s, or even if they hadn't have done this show first, if they just had, they don't know if
the show was what happened. What happened was there was a flashback with Tim McGraw that showed the family as of 1893. They didn't really think of the implications, and from what I understand, it was just so beloved by the fans that 1883 became something that people started thinking about. And maybe that came from all the grandpappy tales. They're like, all those grandpappy tales, let's see them. And they're like, let's stunt cast Tim McGraw. And that works out really well. That's the one thing I'll say. Tim McGraw has been great in this. Does it help that he plays basically a Vulcan? He's a very violent Vulcan, but he's like very measured. His character's pretty stoic, and he pulls off the bearing of a military guy. The thing is, based on the railroad infrastructure of the time and where they've said they've come from, we have seen them go. Let's see if I have this about right. Radioactive, about 600 or 700 miles west and south, and I heard the distinctive pop, which means that we may, in fact, have the great resolute Germ with us. And yes, he is. Hey, Germ, welcome to 1883.
How you doing?
We're doing good. We only have 2 episodes left, and we're kind of talking about how we got here. And really, we're only on like episode 1 as far as what happened. We're not going to go like step by step through everything, but we're going to give people an idea of like. By the end of this, we're going to have a Yellowstone roundtable, and I guess that'll be its own show. But for right now, like, sort of recapping what happened with the Yellowstone franchise, whereas we have Yellowstone first, which happens in modern times. In Yellowstone, we get all these grandpappy tales from Kevin Costner, right? That locks them into a certain timeline. I don't know if they coordinated these stories, like different episodes may have been written by different people. So what happens is we have all these things that are now lore, and I wonder if that's what traps them in Texas, because there's especially important a flashback to 1893 in Yellowstone, which I have not seen.
Now that might explain things, Teague.
This couple is going to have another baby when they get to Yellowstone. Whether or not we see it, I'm not going to tell you, but this couple, they have, obviously some of these people have to make it. They're going to have another fucking baby when they get to Yellowstone. This couple, I guess they are leaning into people just look about 15 years older than they really are on this show, because Faith Hill's like 56 or 55, I think, when they made this, and Tim McGraw right about the same, and they could only be playing people in their 40s, right?
Pretty close, yeah.
We have had the weirdest experience with this wagon train. Their decisions up front made a lot of sense. Their upfront orientation, where they laid out the stakes, was given in a way that made sense. Shea, who's Sam Elliott, talks all about the needs to be careful, don't drink groundwater, stay away from these snakes, look out for these threats, don't piss off the Guardians, don't point guns at people. And then we just start to find out the level of ineptitude right there. They don't have weapons, they don't have the right beasts of burden. So we have to go get better beasts of burden, and that takes an episode. And that's logical enough. But then during that like whole swap out and transaction, some other weird stuff happens. We kill a few people. We have some wildness down by the river. Dutton's sister and his niece get killed. He just kind of shrugs it off. He doesn't even mention Mary Abel. Like, life is just that episode is really, really, really grim. And the Billy Bob Thornton appearance in that definitely got him this new show, because he just plays the most fucked up character you've ever seen. I recommend Landman. I've been watching that one. Holy shit. That show is messed
Oh, yeah,
up.
it's a very good one.
Is that a Paramount show as well?
Yeah, it's related to... It's not related to this, but it's not necessarily divorced from it. It happens in the real world of Taylor Sheridan now. So it happens 45 minutes from Dallas, which just happens to be near Canada. You know what I mean? That Taylor Sheridan geography. That has been the one problem with this show. And I guess to try to bail them out of whatever they were wrapped into. And hello, everyone across the platforms. And I'm looking over at X, and Outlaw Bill. Is that you? No, that's not Outlaw Bill on X. That's actually my own message. I'm trying to read my freaking. This is the most fun thing to do is broadcast on 3 platforms, but it is a little bit of a handful, and that X volume is going to come through in a minute. But I think I can, in a minute, I'll be able to see. All right, X, I see your comments, and yep, here comes the volume. All right. So at any rate, they make a few excuses that make it sound reasonable that they're going to stay in the Texas area, but like the amount of time that this seems to be taking is really weird. Then their landmarks get messed up, and we find out that they've been going south. They've been going south for 3 episodes. Hundreds of horses and dozens of people have died. They've tried to cross a river, and it went well enough for the people who made it. I don't know if you'd call it a successful river crossing. And the one thing that's marked this show is it's been grim. It's 35 to 40 years too late. They could have done a little more work if it had even been 10 years sooner, if it had been 1873. Again, like the dates are what they are. By the just a few years after our Civil War, we'd wrapped up the whole situation with the American Guardians, and the Guardian reservations were a thing. But there was a flare-up and a conflict in 1876 right in the area where the show takes place. So with a little bit of careful management, they could have sold the idea that only 6 or 7 years later there were still problems in the Yellowstone area. But I think all their writing effort went to justifying why they stayed in Texas. We had a cattle drive south with a wagon train that got a lot of people killed because it was like riding around with money just so we could get people to protect us from the threat that we put on ourselves. It was kind of a little crazy, but it only really shows up in retrospect because every episode has been really, really interesting and really, really good. Like, it's been dramatic, but like things like the railroad infrastructure and other stuff, like Radioactive, you had this one nailed. What did we come up with? If you didn't go, forget going to San Francisco. They were almost there. They're in Kentucky. They go about 700 miles south so that they can go like 1,700 miles north and like 700 or 800 more miles west, right? From Texas to Montana to Oregon.
Well, yeah, I mean the shortest route would have been to just take a train route to Salt
From
Lake.
Lynchburg.
Yeah, and well, yeah, you cross the Mississippi, probably at St. Louis or Kansas City. You grab another train ride from there to Salt Lake, and from Salt Lake you would head up north on a train track that we noticed existed between there and Helena, Montana. And you would have probably stopped off in Dillon, Montana, because it's close to the border with Idaho, and you would have taken a wagon train from there through the valley and over to the Gallatin Valley, and then you would have been there. If that was the way they wanted to go originally, right? Because obviously they have to get to Montana because that's where the modern show occurs.
They have to end up there, but they should, like, it could have been a lot more logical, right? They could have been going north. The pass could have been blocked. There could have been an uprising of Guardians, right? If we had created a unique, non-historically accurate uprising of Guardians where they were just like, one whole group of them was creating a threat in a given area that we just had to avoid it, and now we changed plans after we proceeded a whiles north, that would have been a lot more reasonable than what really happened, which was we keep making excuses that we need to have assets and guys with guns to protect us. And basically we keep getting attacked for our assets, and our guys with guns just keep getting like, we have to keep regularly refreshing them. And it just seems like maybe if we only have just enough assets, we could do this. And then the next thing that sort of pops up from reality is they are only like ever going to be 2 weeks from one city to the next on this route, aren't they?
Something like that, yeah. That's the way I look at it. I mean, to me,
it'd be really hard. It's going to be really hard to avoid.
Some of this is in hindsight, but there's a couple things they could have done. Had they written the show, and what I was going to say earlier is if they had a story Bible.
If Yellowstone had been conceived as a whole.
Yeah,
right.
As a whole.
From
right?
day one, they're like, we're going to launch Yellowstone, but we have to make allowances for our show 1853. We've looked at what we want to have happen, and it can't happen after the Civil War.
That's right. Have they just had that in place, or they could have worked it so that on their train journey things happened, right? And then they have the wagon train that goes north or something. There's ways they could have handled it, but it just seems... If it hadn't been for that whole Brazos River thing that went for 3-4 episodes,
we wouldn't have realized it.
Yeah, we wouldn't even have noticed it. But it just seems.
So why'd they name the river is the thing that goes through my mind. That might be his one small mistake. We never would have realized that they were ambling around.
Yep, I think that's exactly the case. Had they not,
or it was stipulated because so many people.
I would have looked at the map.
Honestly, you know what? Yeah, well, that like radioactive, thank God, has traveled around there. But I think what happened was maybe they were stuck with that one because Kevin Costner didn't just say they all died in the river. He's like, on the Brazos River in Texas. You know what I mean? After they go to Dallas Fort Worth, they have to die. Like someone has to die 2 weeks in, and it has to be south of Dallas Fort Worth because it's just been said. No one looked at a map when they wrote the line.
Yeah, that might be the case because it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, sure, the Brazos River, if you look at the full scope of it, it goes south and west of Dallas, right? So you could have made the argument, oh, they headed west, but then at the same time, they're still supposed to be going north. So either way, they didn't pay a lot of attention to their geography. But it doesn't it overall, if you ignore some of those little fallacies, right? The story itself is still sound. It's just
We like the story a lot. It's just that 1873, 1863, or certainly 1853 would have been more appropriate. And also, we did there was other problems too. Like the cost analysis was that this would actually at this point cost about the same, if not more, as taking the train. It was like 2.5 cents a mile to take the train, but to outfit, buy the wagon, and have the food that it takes to travel for like a whole year, it was like getting to be about the same, if not more. And when you consider how many people die,
That's right. And then the other thing is, I was doing a little bit of investigation on this to see what the land prices were. So if they start out in Kentucky, and I assume what they did is they had farmland there in Kentucky, they sell their farmland and then they take that money to travel.
because
So
they have
farm,
Jack, right?
yeah.
And it doesn't make sense because it says tired of the East Coast. So Taylor Sheridan, again, it's just like, dude, you're a good state or two inland in Kentucky.
So I mean, it was roughly the price of land in 1880. Now this is just a
Oh,
average
wait,
value.
I have to say this really quick.
Oh,
Also, why the fuck wasn't he in the Union Army if he was from Kentucky? Kentucky was in the Union.
I don't know. His cousin down south convinced him to go with the with the
I thought they
Confederacy.
were from Virginia. That wiki's messed up. Hey, Outlaw Bill. And hey, Lombardi 1969. We're going to start the watch party in about 12 minutes. We're talking about how he got this far. And Radioactive was saying, and Jerem, I guess, could speak to this too, and I'll just let you guys go with it. This show has been really enjoyable and really good, despite these historical inaccuracies and these geographic strange occurrences. The show, episode for episode, it knows how to start, it knows how to finish, it has distinct acts, and they don't fall back on, oh, it's streaming. We'll cliffhang every ending.
Yeah, definitely. And all those little inaccuracies, those are all just written in from Yellowstone, and they had no idea they were going to be making this series. I think they would have been better off just altering it. And over the years, by the time it got to Yellowstone Prime, some of the details had got lost. So just change the name of the river, put it a little farther north. Just minor details like that. There
Have
would have
Kevin
been some
Costner's character
nitpicking,
find a
yeah.
book where he's like, everything I thought was off by 10 years, but the
Yeah.
stars were right.
Yeah, that's exactly what he could have done. They could have said, "Well, the way my granddad had told me," and then he could have said, "But that's not what happened at all," right? So they could have done a retroactive revisionist history on themselves by just doing that little trick. But it is what it is. It's a world building issue, and it shows itself a lot more. It's accentuated by the fact they were doing a historical period drama. You don't have that problem.
But they didn't start out to do a historical
Yeah,
drama. The historical drama got implied over and over, and
yeah.
people wanted this. I love Anonymous Bears, a theater emoji. It's fucking hilarious. And we need to do a 1923 rewatch and continue season 2 comes out. That might be a member event because I do have those watch parties and they did great. So to replicate them would be maybe crazy, but like maybe a 1-day event or something like that. 1923 was one crazy story, which again, if that was there, so what the hell time of year did 1923 happen that winter's coming now? Jesus. It was like freezing cold already and everything was horrible. And they were like talking about how like nothing could survive where they were. That was summer?
Well, there's an old saying in Montana. It's 11 months of winter and 1 month of poor skiing.
You know what? I found out that a lot of those scenes in 1923 were shot like on location to the point where they didn't. Hey, radioactive! Wow, thanks, buddy.
What? What
I,
happened now?
Nice.
we're on our way. I think. Let me see if I release more. If we get the emoji, I looked today. We weren't that close. I was like, shit, because we like a few
Oh,
people.
that's right. Kremlin came through last night on the Star Trek watch party.
That Star Trek watch party was one of the most successful parties, and there was some of the greatest generosity seen by the subscribers of this channel, and I have to thank everyone who was part of it because you guys are fucking amazeballs. I love you. You know what? I can live with being with the smartest and most discriminating chat of all time. I can live with having you know what? Here's how it goes. We have four. This channel somehow got split into like several different directions, and here's a bunch more memberships. But radioactive, thank you. Let's see who you brought into the Admiral Teague family, guys. Amazeballs. We got Dante S was gifted a membership. The M5 now has a membership.
Yeah.
This unit must endure.
That's right.
Zenial has a membership. And this was triggered by I decided, since you were being so generous, I would let some more go too. And let me see if we now have enough for the new emojis, which means I got to go to work tonight on them right after this. But that would be amazeballs, man. Let me tell you something. And if you're new to the channel, welcome to the 1883 watch party. There is a few 1923 things happening. One is I'm going to try to craft 3 videos. They're going to be quick, to the point, less formal, and not with a lot of video. I'm going to explain stuff. I'm going to say straight out in a video that doesn't keep beating around the bush. I'm just going to be like, this is how 1883, 1923, and Yellowstone fit together. But congratulations to everyone who got a membership. We don't have as many people on YouTube as we have memberships given away, so we'll have some filtering in. So tell your friends to come by. You show up, you'll get a membership. Amazing. Thank you, Radioactive. And we got 1883 episode 9. I'm sorry, guys. I got all carried away there. We were talking about how they did get a little lost, but the show is still pretty valid. By the middle, we're getting ready to start really tracking north. We've had to have we gotten to the point where we've had to refresh the protection of this wagon train too many times? Like, is it starting to stretch credulity?
Well, let's just say they're having a high attrit rate.
They really are, and they keep having to bring in more and more people. I only saw this chat now a minute ago. I'm sorry, I was behind on that in the private chat. Okay. Yes, the gifting
okay.
is turned
It's
on.
fixed. That's fixed. That's fixed now.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
That was pre-flight. Guys, so here we go. It's 24 minutes. Let's get you up to speed for like 4.5 more minutes, and then we'll roll this. You can all pile into the theater. If you're in the green band transmission area, and a lot of you are, welcome. We love you, and you should look in the description of the show. Look in the description of the show.
You can pin it on the green band.
You can, but you can
Yes.
pin it, but it does not have the greatest cohesion or endurance. I'm going to put it in there. That's not what I wanted to do. It doesn't have the greatest cohesion sometimes, but the thing is, I have not streamed Green Band in a little bit, so I might just be wrong on that one. It would be great if I was.
It works almost all the time now.
It's a newer feature. All right.
Yeah,
good.
they fixed it quite a while ago.
All right, good guys. For the meantime, it's pinned. Hopefully, it stays pinned. And I did notice it was more interactive last time I saw it. The pin isn't working out. I can't make it engage, but it's in the description. It's in the pin. If you can get it, it's in the pin for X as well. Hello, X. I see you. I'm checking X right now. Don't see any messages, and I haven't refreshed, but I did close the window for a moment. That's the glitch with X. I have to put it on my I have to put it on its own device, and I can never close the window. Or like if I close the window and if I open another window, it sends to self refresh. I now whether that's me or X, I don't know, but
That is
I
an X
guess
feature.
that is an X feature. All right, guys. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to step on the color commentary, but impressions on our journey so far. Anything sticks out? We've got Shea, Thomas. We've got the Dutton family. Shea's our Pinkerton. Thomas is our Buffalo Soldier. These are the people who are basically the most tough, leader-like people in this wagon train. They're not the greatest leaders based on their sense of direction, but aside from that.
Yeah, character-wise, they're doing okay with those three. The actual thought out of how they're leading it, not very well. They could have done a better job, but apparently they didn't want to actually change some of the details that would have required that. So I think they're doing okay with the limitations they had.
1923 doesn't have as many limitations. They just live with the fact that people are the wrong age that they should be or whatever. They've got an 80-year-old guy playing a 60-year-old guy, so who knows what the hell they think like old people look like. Harrison Ford used to make me feel great about aging. Now he makes me feel terrible about aging because he plays people who are 30 years younger than him, and even though he looks great for 80, that looks terrible for 60. They have to stop having him play 60. I don't know. It's like there's not a ceiling. It's just like it's just let him be tough. He was really potent in 1923, which is coming back. As far as 1883, we're getting to the end. This episode is got a pretty melancholy name, but unlike Star Trek, New Trek, it doesn't have the name in New Star Trek is just it'll freeze your blood. If it's something Shakespearean, if it's something in Latin, it absolutely guarantees one of the worst slaps in your intellectual face of your entire life. Of your entire life. So, with that being said, this episode's called Racing Clouds. I'm trying to figure it out what that means. I know lightning and yellow hair is refers to Elsa Dutton is yellow hair and lightning is her horse. And she has become a pretty convincing cowgirl. And I guess that's the last thing we need to sum up. And I'll let you guys handle that one. Elsa Dutton gets off the train, a private school educated girl whose hands have never been set to purpose at anything but a piano. What has happened to her in the roughly 3 months, I would call it, since we left Dallas-Fort Worth to wander around Dallas-Fort Worth?
Oh, she's definitely developed as a character. She's bouncing between guys relatively quickly, but that's a little bit forgivable. Oh, a very interesting character.
When you see this girl shooting a gun, hitting people with it accurately, when you see this girl part of the cowboy team that's wrangling these calves and these steers, and that's working with this wagon train, doing some of the really tough work, a lot of it which just involves long hours. Like, do you see a place for her in that bunch of wranglers, those cowboys? Do you see her as like having earned those like jeans that she's now wearing with the cut off, like her dress. She just cut her dress off at the hip and put on a pair of jeans. She's totally badass. She packs. She has a cowgirl hat, and she's like the narrator of all these episodes. She was a total neophyte when she got here. And I guess she set us off with the poetic line: the air, like the engines of the train burned the pollen in the air, and it smelled like hope and burned flowers. It was so cool. All her narration has been enjoyable. What do you think when you see her doing these amazeballs things and being a girl boss? Do you feel like she's a Mary Sue?
No,
They
I
don't.
wouldn't say so.
I
No.
would ask, try to compare her, like, just for a couple of minutes to Rey Skywalker, and I'll let you guys go with this one. Like, Rey Skywalker versus Elsa Dutton on believability.
Definitely a lot more believable. She is exactly the way her father would have raised her. And that
Yeah.
whole
Elsa,
proper thing was just she spends a lot of time with her mother. She forces that stuff on her. But when she gets a little bit of leeway, she is exactly her father's daughter.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And as far as the fact that it's now 3 months into this, and we could see how she could be part of this team. She's not the leader of the Cowboys. She's not the number one cowboy. She's not the one who's leading the Cowboys out there, but she's part of this. I don't know if she's necessarily wrestling steers to the ground, but she can certainly help out with a whole bunch of stuff, especially when other people have to do things like go shoot up the people who are trying to attack the wagon train for the third time in an episode. I see her as an earned and developed cowgirl. Like, I don't see her as all of a sudden like Rey Skywalker, just like she gets in trouble and she finds out she's a Jedi. Second wind theory. The second wind Mary Sue theory is like she wasn't that challenged, but now a challenge has arisen. So all of a sudden, because her back is to the wall, she finds out she's even more amazing. And I think it sucks.
Definitely, all of it's earned.
And we are now so many more hours in with Elsa Dutton than we ever got with Rey Skywalker in her show. And here's the thing. Elsa Dutton is fairly powerful in her world. By this point, Rey Skywalker was by far the most powerful entity in her world, bar none. She fucks up the Emperor with 2 lightsabers.
Well, she is her grandfather's granddaughter. Rey Palpatine.
The technicality that maybe Palpatine is responsible for his own fate because he shoots the lightning past the point that he could have cut it off. It's like he says, "If you kill me, I'll become you and we'll win." And at the end, like when she gives that smile, it's like they could go either way with that stupid fucking ending. Despite her seeing Luke, like we found out Luke's an evil dick before. But hey, guys, you know what? The link is where it is.
Skywalker was.
Jake Skywalker. Mark. That was the last time we saw Mark Hamill being cool. I'm going to turn on this, guys. This pains me as an American YouTuber. This is an American YouTubing station, and you know what? After this watch party is over, 1883 will no longer be just an American TV show, but the streaming show that said we will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We will fight the Guardians. 20 years later, or whatever it takes, we will fight them on the seas. We will fight them on the plains. And we're going to watch them in the theater. If you pile inside now, this episode of Yellowstone is 56 minutes and 11 seconds long. Spoiler alert, we're going to overrun the first episode. The first 5 minutes of episode 1 finally happened somewhere in this. All right. 3, 2, 1, and action. I still can't believe MTV produces this. So as you can see, though, we have geographic verisimilitude, or whatever you want to fucking call it. And the most cows we ever see, look, that's every cow they got. They might even have doubled them.
Yeah, I understand having so few cows in the shot.
They're using their resources well. When we need to see a lot of cows, they sell it fairly well. This guy's a skilled director, or he hires skilled directors. Let's just talk about the inhospitability of the... I guess they're in... What do you think? Are they in where are they at this point? Montana?
Yeah, they are actually in Montana.
Yeah.
This is filmed about 30 miles east of the real world town of Bozeman.
Holy shit, radioactive, just recognizing those mountains. Way to go, buddy. Wow, if I ever get lost, I want you there. I'm calling you to check out my cell phone. It's like, this is up here. It's like, oh, I know who you are. Don't worry about it. Just turn on your Uber app. By the way, if these people went any slower, they could get an Uber.
Oh,
The way she went down was pretty bad. Oh, that
Yeah.
snake is 2 for 2.
Oh, there's 2 more gone.
just use your knife.
That keeps the animal rights activists from messing with you, I think, is what tells Sheridan how to do
Oh,
that.
yeah, probably.
Smart move. And this isn't a gory show, except when it's a gory show. And
I don't
hello
think
over on the green band. Hi, everybody.
I think they'd be worried about her having broken her neck than the snake bite.
I tend to agree. What I love about these Yellowstone parties is that, like, even if they only perform decently, and 18 is great, welcome everybody. But like on YouTube, where like we just have still dealing with the suppression, they're fairly safe. We can't say anything too crazy, especially since we came up with the code word Guardian. And it's nice to have the green band people back.
As you can
And this
see, the sand people did the attack here.
Yeah. I don't know though, radioactive. Look at those blast points.
That's
Only
true. They
Imperial
are much.
stormtroopers are that accurate.
Well, the only way we'll know is if they were in line.
But that would lead them back home.
Yeah, possibly.
Why would he call Dutton captain?
He wasn't calling Dutton captain. He's calling Shea captain.
Captain was no, Shea was higher up than that, bro. Shea's like Lieutenant Colonel Shea or Colonel Shea or something like that. Major
He's
Shea.
been calling him captain the entire show.
Has he? I thought that was addressing Dutton because it was established for sure Dutton is a captain, or was a captain.
Yeah, the time of year they filmed this could have actually been in the spring or in the fall.
Thank God it wasn't the dead of winter
judging
like
by
the poor 1923 cast.
Oh no, that wouldn't have been filmed in the winter. There's no way they would have had those people out there in the wintertime.
They filmed the
Yeah.
Yellowstone sequence at the end with Timothy Dalton and Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren in 21 below.
Yeah, that's still balming. Wait till it gets down to minus 40.
Helen Mirren was like freaked out by it. And I guess what's funny is this episode is winter. This season starts winter. It's only been it could have been a lot colder so far. So welcome everybody to this great story. I've come to enjoy the Yellowstone theme song.
It's not bad.
I guess because were they maybe cavalry? The Buffalo Soldier outfit would stipulate that. Shea might have had a little more. Makes sense that Shea would be a captain. Don't you have a little, like the ranks are a little different in cavalry because of the amount of troops involved, right? Less guys. Ugh.
That was the traditional way of dealing with snake bites.
This is the first time we've done something accurate. Except at this point, they would have been like, use this anti-venom that we bought down in St. Louis. Unfortunately, that rattlesnake looked like it probably also had some tetanus. It had been chewing on some old cans that were left behind by the last wagon train before it attacked. I don't understand this plan.
Just so you know, Fort Casper would be in the centers of the state in Wyoming.
So that's where we're going to pretend that we are.
Well, they're past
Uh,
Fort Casper. They said they'd have to go back to Fort Casper. So
okay.
just so you know,
That's
that's
the closest point of civilization in this story's
yeah in this
acknowledgement.
story.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're gonna drive past a couple of cities to get there. That's gonna pretend they're not there. Um,
Yeah,
Yeah.
they what they'd want to do is stop by one of the truck stops along the way and refuel.
Yeah. So
one of
for
the things I
retrospect, the last episode to this episode, they've moved from Nebraska to past Wyoming. They've covered the largest chunk of their venture off screen.
yeah, we time compressed the most of their journey, as I said they would have to. They voiced over a lot of it and just showed them like moving against a beautiful skyline. This makes for a great episode, but their plan is crazy as fuck. The only way to get out of this in one piece is to go kill everybody who did this, so when the people who they did it to come to us, we can say we at least killed them. Anybody want to weigh in on that idea?
Well, it makes sense to get rid of the thieves because they're a threat to them as well.
When we run into them, they end up being a real, existent, historically accurate, even to this time period, group of real scumbags who were being dicks to the Indians of specific like livestock organization. Maybe even the one that Jacob Dutton's in charge of when we get to 1923. By the way, they would have sanitized that line on any other show. What he just said about the people from Germany.
Well, yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's not exactly allowed on broadcast television.
Here's the thing: this would have been a multicultural wagon train from anyone else. Would have had an amazing black woman who was supposed to inspire us, but she would have been an accidental joke. They would have made her like some kind of voodoo soothsayer who was able to get them past the Indians, and everybody would have talked to cult shit. Like, that's how dumb modern writing is. They wouldn't have been able to just have, all right, well, most of the people in the wagon train were from Europe, so we'll just go with that. Like, they messed up history, but it's not hateful of history. It's just one major mistake, which is they're off by about a lifetime. Is that fair to say?
I would think so. The
Yeah.
timeline is a little bit off.
A little
For
less
me
than a
it
full
doesn't
lifetime,
it's
but
not
pretty
convincing
close.
to me that it's the 1880s.
It looks well. Their weapons are accurate to that, but the thing is, the lives they're living and the way that things are going are just
Yeah.
not 1883.
Not
Yeah.
in my opinion, no.
Where's the
And-
telegraph wires helping them not get lost?
That and the railroad tracks, you just follow the rails because they're going to go the easiest path of any place.
I think I did. I said earlier it was my belief that we do not have a railroad sequence where we cross the railroad because it would beg too many questions. Like, they don't want us to think this. Like, this at least was, this was they were nailed down with stuff they had to do, but they weren't spiteful of us, the audience, in delivering it in a way that was enjoyable.
Yeah, they paint themselves into a corner is basically what happened. But
But the drama they get us out with, it's not saccharine, it's not bullshit. Like, all right, like, it was a dumb route, but like, we know all about this guy Cookie. I've thought he's a dick the whole time. I hate Cookie. Fucking coward. How about this one? Anyone wants to put their children and young ones at me, I'm going to get there pretty quick. Right? And why wouldn't he dump all the food if he's this scared? Cookie's a dick.
Well, Cookie's just hired help.
The thing is, he's spreading panic and running for his life without doing anything helpful to, like, I could be hired help and I'd still be like, you know what, a couple of those children that might make it if you just help me. I'm like, I'll help you. I'm just going to the fort, man. You can meet me there. Hopefully you make it too.
Well, yeah, but Teague, we don't know what his copay is on his health insurance, so
He got paid up front. He's like, F you guys.
yeah.
She's looking pretty hot with the messy hair and like, she now looks like a heavy metal band groupie from the 80s. She's got it all. The jeans. That same dead cow has followed them all along the route.
Well, I don't expect him to be able to afford a second one.
I don't either. They did a good job with this. It's 1923 where they have 35 million an episode, but it looks like it. It looks great. We might have a wild 1923 night. Why not? Or like day 1, day 2. I don't know. I could always do members only watch party. There's enough members now based on the amount of people who have interest in the first place. By the way, I went to the Critical Drinkers member meetup.
Okay.
There was only like 30 people there. If I wanted to, I could have talked to them. I was just too a little intimidating.
Well,
I think I'll write down some
you mean
questions.
live in person, or are you talking online?
Online, but the thing is, you could
Oh,
have
okay.
just gone. He was just allowing people to talk to him, and his he doesn't care about the community as a business aspect of what he does. He mostly, I think, is watch page ads. I watched this video where he introduced it. Like what he said was like, people told me I should do it. The thing is, he does take it seriously. So when he does it, like he talks to everybody, but he doesn't sell it hard. So what it is for almost nothing, you get to hang out with him too. It was really cool. He was cool to everyone.
Good deal.
And hey, Krimlon is here. Krimlon,
Hey,
good
Kremlin.
to see you.
Kremlin, what's going on, dude?
Krimlon, there's a pin post. We're watching 1883. Part of me says we might want to go I might want to go all the way tonight and finish the story. The thing is, two different watch parties. It's like I'm throwing away half the views, but time comes in. I don't know. Because people tune into these and listen for about as long as the recap on average. It holds about a half hour worth of retention when people re-listen to the watch parties. So they're listening to the recaps. That guy looks a little too much like Ennis for Ennis to have made it any further, right? We had to kill Ennis.
Yeah, Ennis was just another red shirt.
He really was. And he didn't even get
Yeah,
to pass his
unfortunately.
seed along. He did get to drop his glue into Elsa Dutton, though, so I mean, if you're going to die. It was like life gave him the great episode Bread and Circus's pro-council move. Because I am impressed by you, I have given you one last night to live as a man. And he sends him that hot blonde chick, and she's like, she will have sex with you, Kirk. Well, see you later. But pro-council, have a good time, Kirk. I have cameras set up.
You know, I almost keep thinking I'm going to see a 4x4 out in the background somewhere.
That was one of the things that they were afraid of, I think, and maybe they had to take him out. By the way, this conversation is that they're just going to kill these people no matter what the deal is, but they want to know what the deal is. And look, they're wearing these badges. This was a real group, whoever they say they're part of. So these guys are self-deputized vigilantes. Kremlin, this is a real good show. I fucking hate these guys. Did you notice that the first bullet took out 2 guys there? Little bit of a mistake in their action scene. I guess they didn't want to throw people off horses too many times.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
You don't want to
You
really
can't.
fall off a horse. That's for damn sure.
I know that at like 40, they tell you to stop riding a lot of times. George
Well-
Washington wasn't supposed to ride at like 45 or something.
Okay, but you got to keep in mind you measure a horse at the shoulder, not at the top of the head.
True. What? Why Thomas felt the need to taunt him a little? It's like killing had become boring for Thomas. He needed to play a game of cat and mouse with his victims.
You want to know how I got these scars?
Guys, here's the thing. This is a really good story, and if you don't like our commentary right now, I kind of understand it. But I did watch this all the way through, and so I'm a little bit. I won't throw any spoilers at you, but I know what's going to happen. By the way, this is very Star Wars. But George Lucas was trying to evoke this. I like that guy's hat. So we got the right group of people, by the way, from Montana to Lakota. I checked this out.
For that part of Montana, yes.
Yeah.
If they
yeah.
were further up north, then they'd run into the Blackfeet.
Yes. And those Blackfeet, they mattered. Yeah, talk more about it, baby. At this point, Elsa Dutton will blow you away if you hit on her improperly. You know what, Kremlin? I gotta be honest, because they built her over the course of 7 or 8 episodes, their geography sucked, but their character building was great. No one here doesn't believe that she could pull off the things she does, and nothing she does is too off the charts. This is the only writer who writes female characters that we've come across that I can think of, where we like the female characters and they don't Does anybody find this female character insulting or
No,
poorly
not at
crafted?
all. Actually, from
It's
the
mind
story, the
blowing.
way they built her character, she's actually convincing. The character's convincing. Yeah, this is not Ray Palpatine.
And this is about the toughest she's ever going to be right here. So yeah, that's what people would be. I don't blame anybody who's shocked by it, but they pull it off. I'm glad I never got too attached to Cookie, right?
Well, you can say they're doing it all for the cookie.
Yeah. So we have a full-blown American Guardian raid. The American Guardians are, chasing Elsa Dutton, and it's just like the Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark shot as she comes over the hill being chased by similar opponents. Forget circling the wagons. Run for your lives in different directions. Some of you might live.
And now we're going to see if the Conestoga class starship actually has what it takes.
That's right. Attack pattern Delta. Attack pattern Dutton.
Yeah, there you go.
Sean Carter was asking us different names for the starship he's building, and one of my suggestions was USS Yellowstone NCC 1923. And he's like, "Well, it's an older starship," and I was like, "NX 1883." Maybe duck down closer to the horse's mane.
And I'm still looking to see if I'm going to find the I-90 in the frame shot.
Right? You know the direction they're running. One of the things going through my mind is did we already see an Indian touch her with a coup stick? Or is that going to happen here? Because I know that happens to her at some point. She gets to the point where they're impressed enough by her that they decide to count coup rather than kill her. How does she miss?
Yeah, that's
Target-rich environment. Just shoot the horse at that point. You talk about saving people. Sorry, guys. These are CGI horses.
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, she probably would have hit the horse.
Yeah, no horses are going to be
Probably
hit
just
by
as
these guided
The
bullets.
weapon is probably isn't sighted correctly. That would be the excuse to use in terms of storytelling.
This is one of the better, not so old West shootouts ever, though. It is really, intense, and I love the God's eye view. I guess they had a helicopter for that shot.
I'd think more a drone.
A drone could have done it too. Or they were on a natural outcropping and they increased their angle with a camera of some kind and maybe a boom. Pretty good God's eye view, though.
Let me look at the map.
So here's why we explain how fucked we are. Yeah, you're right. He's only talking to Shea. The Yellowstone journey has not been all that regular. good to see everybody. 5 people watching over on YouTube for a watch party is fantastic. Thanks, guys. You guys are amazing. She is cute, Crimlon. She's really cute. Bend your hands. Yeah, Crimlon knows what he's talking about. You know, Crimlon, ever since the show started, I've been doing research on this one. Today I found out that Taylor Sheridan met her auditioning for another show, and he said that he claims that later that day he walked into his boss's office and said, "I have my whole new show. I just need this actress, or I can't do it. I can start writing it today, or you can forget the whole thing." And they're like, "Do it," and it's her. So either he sees something in her as an actress, or he's in love with her and they're gonna get married. But she is amazing, and she's hot. She's really hot. He has really good taste in women, Taylor Sheridan. The women in his shows are always beautiful. And hello over there on the green band. Some likes would help me out. 3 is great.
Sheridan definitely has a very particular type.
In my 1923 character study, I was correct in my assertion, but the person I put in the still was wrong. Alex hair is much longer, and what I say about her is accurate. But since they both have dark eyebrows and blonde hair, and they were out of context, and her eyes were closed and her head was turned, I thought that Liz was Alex. Oh well. I'm assuming some of the cast members are going to have to die in 1923 too, because some of them look too much alike. All right, here we go. This is how the show started. We're right here. We started right here.
That's right.
Oof.
Type 0 phaser blast right about now.
And he's got the type -1 phaser. Phaser -1.
That's right. That's true.
The sub-analog phaser. Would that be the way of putting it? Oh.
Oh. Type 0 phaser blast. Oh, it went all the way through.
I love how she's game to kill people. She's crazy as fuck.
Yeah, that's a pretty mortal wound, though, for the time.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know what?
Oh.
That ain't gonna help if she's talking till Dakota.
That's absolutely true. That is a true
think he
statement.
might have. I think that's she was saying it to taunt him into killing her. And look, see, he counts coup instead.
That's
a
true.
coup stick. For those who don't know, counting coup, the expression comes from the Native Americans, or the Guardians, as we call them. They had these coup sticks they brought into combat. If you were like impressive enough, they would touch you with it to get some of your power and to prove to you that you were powerful, or they were powerful.
Usually, that was after they killed you.
No, counting coup involved like touching with the coup stick was like the non-lethal thing. But yeah, no, they had all sorts of great stuff like the non-analog phaser and the good old-fashioned stone axe plus one, because they did manage to upgrade it a little bit. But yeah, conspicuously through the liver rather than the gut.
Yeah, that'd be a hard one to survive in 1880, but it ran all the way through. However, it's hard to say. I mean, if it goes all the way through like that,
that arrow's filthy.
Well, yeah, but the point is that you get to pull it all the way through. It's worse if it's embedded and it breaks off inside you. Then that's the real problem.
Yeah, right. They can remove it almost completely. That is the good news. The bad news is where it is, and the other bad news is that like they're very far from the
They're
medical help she's going to need.
yeah, they're a
They
good
got to
4
get her to that
away
fort.
from proper.
Well,
However,
what it
this
means is
wound,
you're going to take a hot metal rod and you're going to run it through the length of where that wound is and cauterize the whole damn thing.
almost definitely, if you can get one. By the way, let's just point this one out. If you don't do anything and you pull this arrow out and you can't do much for her, she'll still have 4 or 5 days if things aren't too bad.
Yeah, but most likely she's gonna die of an infection in those 4 or 5 days.
Yep.
Well, let's see when we triage here with our 19th century medicine. Our X-rays are possible, but you'd have to get her to Chicago, right?
Let me think about that. I don't.
So
The
think a
X-rays are
little
like
early.
I think the 30s, honestly.
I was going to say X-rays date back to 1905
Like I think
or so. I'd have to go
I was gonna
back
say,
and look.
discovered like 1900, useful by 1930.
So it looks like the framed shot here is of Sacagawea Peak or maybe Saddle Peak. When they're looking out here, the tallest mountains they're showing here in the background.
Are we far from Sheridan, the town of Sheridan? I don't know about that one.
No, it's the right move.
Yeah, I'm skeptical of that. She probably could have survived.
It
Maybe.
is survivable. It's highly painful. No, it's very
Mm.
survivable. Highly painful.
Survivable, but she's crippled for life, basically.
What do you mean?
By the standards of the time, she is scalped. She has a wound. Her family's gone, and most importantly, her mental state is basically unrecoverable.
How do you know
What you're
that?
saying is
You can't judge that by that situation.
By our standards, it's recoverable, but by the standards of the time, she's hysterical and she's never making a full recovery.
let's just call it questionable, but say that like I can see how he might do it. I guess maybe there's some things that the Guardians might have done to her that we didn't hear about that might have made him feel worse about it. Yeah, it's true, Resolute. That note from a little while ago. Or that seems to have self-corrected as YouTube has come around. And hello, YouTube.
See, told you they're going to take a hot iron and he's going to stick it all the way through her. Yep, it'll knock her out. There you go. See, and that's how she survives. Yeah, so now
This
they got to
story made
compress the
so
room.
much. This
They gotta-
movie said so much more sense before I read their bio where they said they came from Kentucky. I assume they're from Virginia.
They may have made some mistakes on the bio as well.
I hope so. But they had some stuff they didn't know yet was in there, like the Confederate nurse thing. I want to thank everybody who's enjoying this with us. It's cool to hang out with you all. Shea's the most depressed guy in the world. It's a good thing he doesn't drink. All right, we know these guys are dicks. Tennessee, Kentucky, close enough. Can I smoke some of the peyote that you guys have for your ceremonies? Why? I might just shoot him anyway. Anyone else? I'll tell you what, why don't you tell God for me right now? Blam! Cinematography is great, and they're doing amazing with the assets they have, like getting the people to cross behind each other, show like as many people as they can, giving it some kind of urgency. Man, look at that. That'd be a great place for giant concrete city, guys. I want the best for this place. I've come to love it. I feel attached to the land.
It just needs to be paved over with concrete.
Gotta pave
right?
it over, landscape it, put a park in the middle, golf courses on the edge. It'll be great. It'll be great. Guys, watch Landman. That's exactly what's going on. They're sucking the oil out first, though. Well, it's a good thing we have this penicillin invented about 15 years ago. We're going to use it as best we can to try to save your life. It's particularly strong and pure penicillin as it's brand new.
I don't think they had penicillin yet at this point. I think all they had is
No,
sulfa
not quite.
drugs. They may have had sulfa drugs.
Okay. I thought that was like the discovery of the bacillus was like right around the time that they discovered germ theory.
You're about 40 years, 45 years off on the penicillin.
Yeah.
Listen, helicopter in some penicillin. Get a trauma team in there. Why can't they just beam her up to sickbay?
Well, because there's all that interference, Teague. There's an ion storm up above. Remember? They couldn't transport through the ion storm.
See, radioactive, that's what the government wants you to see. Penicillin was invented by Thomas Jefferson. Everybody knows that. He found the secret on Oak Island.
Oh, they didn't have sulfa drugs back then either, so that wouldn't have
I,
worked.
I think all they had was like the knowledge to sterilize and the ability to sterilize.
See, Nomad should be in the show.
German microbiologist Jared Dänemark, 1895 to 1964, discovered sulfur drugs in the 30s. Yeah, also known as sulfonamides, were the first successful treatment for many bacterial diseases. Yeah, you'd pour them right on the wound. In World War II, we see guys pouring the sulfur on the gunshot wounds in every. It's like a trope in every World War II movie.
So they would have just probably had alcohol at best.
If they had to do surgery, they could have created a clean operating room or the cleanest possible operating room. You know, like millions, eons better than the Civil War, but you know, you needed some time, you needed the right stuff, you needed carbolic acid. The first antiseptic was Listerine. They discovered germ theory, and then they figured out that germs were causing disease. So they're like, how can we cut down on the ways that people get germs inside of them? And like Lister came up with like that. You know, at this point, though, just leave her at peace out on the prairie. You wouldn't have shot her if you had realized that this would have taken you all fucking day. Oh, he did do the right thing. It's medically wrong unless you had another wound. Oh, thanks a lot, Shea. By that, by that matrix, like John Wayne Gacy could mount a spirited defense, guys.
But then again, so could his executioner.
Everybody, yeah. I mean, even Hitler could be like, I made a principled decision. Nobody's the villain in their own story. Hey, Lisa. Hello. Nice to see you. She's going to be okay for a while, but this is not ideal. Right now, he looks like a guy who believes she's got a 5 to 10% chance. Anybody?
Yeah, something around those lines. She could still get an infection, and if it goes gangrene, then yeah, or blood poisoning, effectively in this case.
My feeling when I watched it the first time was that he realized she was going to definitely get an infection, and he's wondering if she's going to make it already. He's like gotten that far with this, but here we go. This is Stark. I used to find these as a kid by the shore. It's not really his fault.
That is probably the best plan that they could go with.
I guess the horse is better than the wagon.
A little smoother.
I wonder. I mean, I guess the wagon is terrible. Now, these are American wagons, not the German ones that have the hydraulic shocks. But those German wagons, they're just a little bit they need so much more maintenance. Why isn't he going to play straight with her about how she's going to die? Everybody just needs to have some happy time together. By the way, the invective is on them. They're going to try to travel to where she feels most comfortable to die, and then they're going to live there. That's what's kind of going on here.
Pretty much, yeah.
This is the least hospitable shithole in the world as far as, what they're looking to do.
Now, what's really odd is that they're claiming they're going back to Casper, Wyoming, right? Fort Casper.
I think that's where the other people run to. I think he blows it off. He's just going to start. He's like accepted that she can't be helped. I don't think he goes to the fort. I don't remember. Just some more graves, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles from the Oregon Trail. Oh, Cookie got a cookie-themed grave. Now I feel bad that I didn't judge him. That I judged him so harshly. So there we go. We got one episode left, and we're going to find out how the last of this plays out. Well, what do you guys think? And across all mediums, welcome to the wrap-up conversation for episode 9. Hi. All right, guys, what did you think?
Story-wise, it's perfectly fine, but I keep getting hung up on the geography and where they're at, where they're going to arrive at.
Yeah, the thing is, I know Lisa is still here. It's good to see you. I hope you enjoyed that. Yellowstone, we have found to be a really compelling and good dramatic story, interspersed with some really great badass violence. And I guess the thing I would say is Taylor Sheridan is having a louder and louder voice in television these days. He's powering most of that Paramount network. I'm watching Landman right now. I think I'm up to episode 3 or 4. Landman, Billy Bob Thornton's appearance in this seems to have established him as in the cool book with Taylor Sheridan. In Landman, he accidentally bashes his finger with a hammer, cuts part of it off, right? Like the tip of his pinky is hanging off. He goes to the hospital. This is in the aftermath of an oil well exploding. He lost a few of his men. His nephew gets messed up. He goes to this hospital, and the doctor's telling him that he needs to get a team together to get the finger reattached, and he's like, that ain't shit, it's just the tip of my finger. And he pulls out a buck knife and fucking cuts off his fingertip! And the doctor's like, that's crazy. And he's like, fuck you. And he lights up a cigarette. That is basically Landman. That with like some really beautiful women getting nude. Landman is pretty hardcore. But it's good.
Yeah, it's a pretty good series.
Oh, have you seen it? What did you think of episode 3 where we saw Ali Larder's assets? Is that like some kind of strange surgery? Those were unusual nipples, I'll just say that. I've never seen anything like that before. Yeah. There's no way to describe
That's a limitation on your end.
What that's I've seen plenty. I just that was very unusual. Holy smoke! But then again, like I don't know, like I don't have like a million alley larders in my past. But that was that Landman is like that's what it is. It's like he is a scumbag curmudgeon. I guess Billy Bob's playing about his own age. What is he, 60 now? So he's like 60.
Billy Bob's a little older than that.
All right, so he's playing 60. He's definitely playing like 60, right? Because the trophy wife is Allie Larder. She's like 44. She still looks great. She's beautiful. She's playing a totally different character than anyone I've ever seen her as before. She's nothing like the people we saw her as in like something like Heroes. She's very different from the comedic role in that Kevin Smith movie that everyone kind of hates. And while not the worst, it's she is playing a horrible human, and the daughter a little bit cooler. Their world is it's really brutal, and like just crazy stuff. John Hamm is in it. He's married to Demi Moore. That show it's pretty high on my recommend. Did you finish it, Germ?
Yeah, I finished the season.
So I'm guessing that is it on par with the other Taylor Sheridan stuff?
I would say so, yeah. I'd put
That
it actually a little bit higher than 1883 because of they don't have to deal with the historical blocks they got put into.
the stuff that he's saying about what has to be done to drill oil may or may not be true, or may have been true 20 years ago, or all those things.
It's
happens
100% true.
I don't know if every single company has all the problems he has, but like it seems like that's the way it's true, right?
Yeah.
Like these are
For
real
a smaller
problems.
company, a lot of that stuff would be more true than if you're dealing like with Exxon.
And they're just like not very flattering about what's going on in that oil field either. That's a good show. I recommend Landman. Check it out. I don't know.
If you're only on episode 3, it does get a lot more screwed up.
Things are already getting really weird. Things are weird already. His daughter and his wife have almost no redeeming qualities. Allie Larder's beautiful and she knows it, and she acts like a terrible human being on a non-going basis.
Yeah,
She never even visited her son in the hospital. She came to town to visit her son in the hospital and ends up getting trashed. Then she just wants
they do
sex.
get a little more They do get a little more interesting.
I mean, if she stays that way, that's fine. And if she's interesting as a horrible human.
I think the angle with his son is a little bit more of the interesting part.
I like the storyline with the son better. His buddies include the guy from the aforementioned movie I was talking about with Radioactive and other people, Fury. I've had this conversation a few times about how Fury makes me furious. But that guy is pretty cool. He's likable. That storyline works out. But Michael Pena is one of the people there. And I haven't seen him in a tick, so it was cool to see him again. He's still a pretty good actor, man. It was good to see someone other than John Leguizamo getting the work in the world of Latino actors.
Yeah, I can't stand Leguizamo too well.
You're
He did
just saying that 'cause he's
one
from New
interesting
York.
thing. One interesting thing I saw him in, and not really.
He
too
shot
much
Harrison
else.
Ford in the head. J.J. Abrams had him shoot Harrison Ford in the head.
I won't call that too interesting.
What film was that?
He's the guy who's robbing the grocery store in Regarding Henry when he just turns around and kills Henry.
Oh, okay. Forgotten.
I would say that was the beginning of the end of Harrison Ford, though. Think about it from the point that movie comes out in 95 or 96, maybe 94, that area. What's Harrison Ford done after that? Like Air Force One. All right, anything, guys? Right?
Probably one of the Clancy films wasn't or well, no,
I
wait,
hate to
those were
say
all in the
this,
That
but
was
I
all
thought-
around that time.
It was, but those Clancy movies weren't as good as the books. They weren't as good as they could have been. And I hate to say this, but Alec Baldwin did that character really good too. I was like kind of hoping that before he was what he was, I thought that like this unknown guy who happened to be from Long Island, I didn't even know that at the time, that he would be like, that he was good as Jack Ryan. And I was looking forward to seeing his next movie. And when I heard they swapped it out with Harrison Ford, I'm like, man, Harrison Ford could have any role. Why give this one to him? You know what I mean?
Did turn out a little bit better. You don't want. You'd rather have Harrison Ford.
In the
In the
parts
long
where he's
run.
shooting people and making some of those tough shots, I think that Alec Baldwin would be more believable now.
Well, yeah, now.
Anyway, I don't know. Alec Baldwin certainly. My thing is this: the Tom Clancy books were really good. The Tom Clancy movies not quite as good as the books. Now everybody just knows him as a game designer. We never found out how Tom Clancy died. That's one thing I would like to know. I think it was chain smoking, but he made so much money off those books. He was in the market for a freaking football team. So interesting stuff with him. And I guess I'll just say the sum of all fears showed you could do worse. Even though that was a good book, too many compromises in the movie. A few good scenes in that movie, but when I went to it, it was free on YouTube Movies. You know what? It didn't even have any reactions. No thumbs up, no thumbs down, nothing.
Yeah, it's a very forgettable movie.
To the point where the world consciously avoided a free movie and didn't even react to it. Guys, anybody who has, here's my voice. After the stream, if you hit refresh and give me a comment, that will help me out. And I don't know if I'm supposed to say that out loud, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna say it out loud a few more times. I'm looking to grow the channel a little more. The watch party's fun. People will enjoy the recap. We got to watch it together, and hopefully we'll see you here for the final episode. I'm gonna try to get that out of the way. There's no football tomorrow. Is anybody free? You guys want to do episode 10 tomorrow? See the end of this story?
Yeah,
All
I
right.
should be free later in the day.
What time's good for you, Germ?
Probably about noontime, at least.
Noontime, your time, so that is
Yeah.
9 in the morning for me.
Close. Turn it
Three in the
around, though.
afternoon. I know, I'm only kidding. Radioactive, you down for 3 p.m. Eastern? We'll make it. Well, why don't we make it 4?
Yeah, we
4
could
p.m.
probably do
Eastern.
that, I guess. That would work.
It's
Yeah.
been fun, and maybe we'll get Wes Cagle back for the final episode. I know that this one, hey, you know what? Didn't look so great now, but it's going to look like a home run in the scorebook when it builds up a bunch of views anyway, because it's 1883. And you know what? If you enjoyed our analysis, we were really glad that you were here. Over on the Green Band, I thank you. Thank you for the likes. We're finishing off over there with 3 likes. If anyone's still there, one more would be great. If you haven't given me one. But you know what? You guys are the best. And on X, as I look over, still only there's not quite as many views there as usual. Although, hey, it's still Sunday night, right? I don't think anyone saw this one coming, even though I listed it early. We want to get to the end of our Yellowstone journey, and then hopefully have a Yellowstone conversation about just without video, where we round table it, and maybe I'll do an upload. Look for the Yellowstone upload to be made tomorrow. And Germ, what do you got going on?
I do the Dark Matter streams with Sci-Fi Assistant on Wednesdays and Saturday morning cartoons.
All right. What the cartoons that are up for grabs this week?
I don't have a poll up for it yet. I should have that up by tomorrow morning.
Okay, well, that does it for us here. Radioactive, anything going on with you? Streaming anywhere else? Guesting with anyone else?
Not that I'm aware of at the present moment.
Ooh, maybe we'll make.
But
this
I was
exclusive.
on Retro Games with you for the after party.
That's right.
Star Trek, Saving Star
The
Trek.
Saving Star
so-
Trek after party was a lot of fun. Yeah, and that's been a good way to bring an end to the festivities on Saving Star Trek and keep it succinct. The uploads have been strong. If you're within the sound of my voice, check out the upload for yesterday's Enterprise. If you're looking for a good book, check out Silver Screen Journeys. I'm your buddy, Admiral Teague, and we are out of here.